Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. This is Nikki Zick, and today I'm going to show you how to do this stylized watercolor floral that's in mixed media using watercolor paints and permanent marker, fine line details going over the watercolor paint after it's dried. This is a concept that I did in my sketchbook, but a lot of people wanted to know how I did it, so I'm going to show you now. I'm using my Arteza pad that has a slight texture, which I like, and nice clean white background. I'm going to start with just adding some blobs of water here and there that are going to be our flower heads. We'll start with that first. And even though if you can't see the water, you will once we start adding the dabs of paint. For this, I'm starting with a carnation pink, a light pink to start out with. And then I'm going to add a red. But right now we're just adding the flowers into the wet water that's on our paper. We could go in with some red. And we're going to keep dabbing blobs of color as this dries, because the paint will dry lighter and we would like some darks. If it's too much water, you can remove some with your brush. Add a little more dark. Put some darks here. While that's working, we could start with our bottom, make some lines as stems and just some grasses. Could add some on the top. And then I'm going to go into a mixture of olive green and grass green and just drag and drop in some colors here and there. Some leaves around the flowers at the base. And we're just going to paint some grasses in the bottom. I think the grass is done. We'll add a little bit more definition on our stems. And then we'll go and then we'll add a little more red to our red flowers. Just give it some more dark. One side here, on the bud, and then on this flower here. Okay, this is the first step. We're going to let it dry, and then I'll come right back and we'll do the line work. See you in a few. Okay, I'm back and my paper is dry and I'm ready to use my ultrafine permanent marker to do the detail lines for this artwork. Now I'm going to start with the center flower, and just keep in mind when you do this kind of artwork, the flower blobs are going to be different every time you do it, because it's water and the paint moves how it wants to move on the blob of water. So as you can see, there are different areas that are not the same as my original artwork, but we're going to go with it. And that's part of the experiment with loose stylized florals. So I'm going to start with the center flower, and in my original I did it straightforward, but this one I'm going to tilt it a little, make the center black dot, and then a circle around it. And we're going to do 6 petals, and they have like spiny points on the end of the petal, and just do little jagged points on each petal leaf as you go around. And just follow. You can go outside of the pink paint, but just stay in the form of a flower. And then I'm going to do some little detail lines going down each petal to give the flower more form. And then I'll wait to do the stems. We'll do the flower heads first. Then we'll go over to the left, and I did a side view flower on this end. So we'll come up with an arch and the spiny flowers, points at the top, and just come down with the side view of a flower. And this we could do, we have 4 petals, we'll do one more. And then we'll do some vine lines up each petal. Some can have 2, some can have 1. I also drew a bud of a flower up top here, so we'll give that some details. And then on the right side, we'll draw, I drew another side view, so we'll do that for this one as well. So again, we'll go up with an arch of a side view of a flower, and then pointy edge on the top of the petal. You could go outside of the white, outside of the pink. We'll do one more up here. And then draw some lines to give details of the petals. So now we have our 3 flowers. And we're going to come down now with the stems, which are wavy lines, and just connect them to the top of the flower and wave your line down to the bottom of the green. Next is the fun part where we just go loaded and fill up the paper with leaves, and they could be clusters of leaves all growing together. We can have a leaf where there's faint paint, that's a riddle or a rhyme, faint paint. We'll draw a stem to connect this rosebud and the leaves around. And then we'll draw some leaves on this flower connecting. And here we'll have a cluster of leaves. You can have a floating leaf. Up here we'll have a leaf. And this will be a cluster. And we'll do a leaf here. And down below. Don't forget that. We'll do our veining in a minute. And that should be enough leaves for this artwork. We'll start on the left. We'll do a center line and then diagonal lines on the leaf. And this is the same artwork that we'll do in repetitive motion for each leaf, a stem and diagonal on one side and diagonal on the other. You just fill the whole page. Everywhere you put a leaf, you do this artwork manner of line work. And as you can see, it starts filling in and looking very graceful. The watercolor in the background seems uncontrolled. And then when you add the line work, it just brings it all together and gives it some form and movement on the artwork. So I'm going down and filling each leaf, listening to my easy-going piano music in the morning. This is my first painting of the day, and I'm sharing it with you. If you like the video so far, please give me a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, and you'll be alerted of new videos that I post. So that can be exciting. I post usually almost every other day during the week. And every subject is usually mixed media. It's what I try to focus on. Watercolor, colored pencils that are water-soluble crayons, of course the permanent marker, and whatever other art supplies that I can get my hands on that will make a nice mixed media artwork. And now we're almost finished with our last leaves. And then, let's see, is there anything else I want to add to this? Maybe a leaf up here, even though it's in pink, just to fill some space. And I think that artwork is finished. So here I'll show you the final contemporary piece of artwork done in mixed media, which is watercolor paints and permanent marker done on a 9x12 Arteza pad. So I hope you give it a try, and if you do, post some pictures and leave some comments on what your thoughts of the project were. Have a good one, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.